What you're about to hear isn't a medical case. It's what no one tells you until it happens to you. Welcome to the biggest club in the world. You didn't ask to join, you didn't sign anything, there was no joining fee, but you were born into it. It's called having a prostate. And like every men's club, nobody talks about it until the trouble starts. First you get up once at night, then twice, then 3 times. And you tell yourself every man's favorite lie. It's nothing. It must be old age. Until one day you get a routine checkup and see a number in red. High PSA. 2 words that completely change a Tuesday morning. And here, before we go on, the first thing you need to remember, I am not a doctor. I am a patient who has been through this journey. What you're about to hear, you'll decide with your urologist. But you also need to know this. The PSA is just a fire alarm. It rings, but it doesn't tell you if the fire is in the kitchen, the bathroom, or if it's just smoke from the neighbor's house. That's why, today, the correct first step is no longer to blindly biopsy. It's to ask for a multiparametric MRI. The multiparametric MRI. This map changes everything that comes after. At this moment, you discover something terrible. The prostate always gives a warning, but we almost never listen. Let's do an engineering exercise. You take a tube where urine comes out and decide to put, right around it, a gland that grows all your life, without breaks, without limits, without mercy. If the human body were a company, this engineer would have already been fired and sued. But here we are, with this serial engineering, with no possibility of return. By age 50, about 1 in 3 men already have some area of cancer in their prostate. By 60, it goes up a lot more. By 70 or 80, most men have cancer cells in their prostate, though most will never know or have any problems from it. The chance of prostate cancer appearing goes up about 1 point for each year of life. But pay attention. Most of these cancers are so slow that the man dies with them, not from them. And here's what nobody tells you clearly. The difference between dying with prostate cancer and dying of prostate cancer isn't about the tumor. It's about when you decided to find out. Those who detected it in time died from something else. At 80 years old, with their grandchildren, with their life complete. Those who didn't go to the urologist in time, they died of prostate cancer. Not because the tumor was more aggressive, but because they found out too late. Biology doesn't warn you. The calendar does. But wait, what's coming next is where the system can really mess you up. And then, one day, during a routine checkup, if you even do those, your PSA number comes back above 4. And that's when what I call the ordeal begins. You go to the urologist. Some do a rectal exam, others don't anymore, because we live in the 21st century and already have ultrasounds. Or because they simply prefer not to, and neither do you.
It could be prostatitis. It could be benign hyperplasia. Or we need to rule out cancer.
Cancer?
Calm down. To put your mind at ease, get a multiparametric MRI.
So you can relax. This phrase, from today on, will follow you around. The patient gets an MRI because they want to relax. 40 minutes inside a tube that makes construction noises. Very relaxing.
Something strange came up. It doesn't mean it's cancer. But for your peace of mind, a biopsy is better.
Biopsy?
It's a routine procedure.
Routine for him, not for me. And before anyone sticks a needle in your prostate, there's a question that changes everything. Blind biopsy or fusion biopsy. A blind biopsy takes between 12 and 21 samples randomly. Its accuracy is around 70%. A fusion biopsy uses the MRI as a real-time map, goes exactly to the target, and its accuracy goes up to 95%. The difference, up to 30% false negatives in the blind versus 5% in the fusion. If your MRI has already marked a PI-RADS 4 or 5 lesion, demand a fusion biopsy. You decide if you want to play Russian roulette or if you prefer a sharpshooter with a target. 21 random pokes, a blind biopsy. The tumor might be there, but if those 21 pokes don't hit exactly where it is, the result comes back negative.
We didn't find anything, but it's not a sure thing. Next time, get the fusion biopsy.
Next time?
Next up, the fusion biopsy, which combines an MRI with real-time ultrasound, which collects the sample exactly where the problem is, which costs a fortune, which no one offered from the start. Welcome to the system. You've already had the biopsy. Now, Someone needs to look at these samples under a microscope. And this person is more important than you might think. There are general pathologists who read biopsies from the colon, lung, skin, and also the prostate. And there are specialized uropathologists, doctors who spend their entire careers looking at prostate tissue. They can tell the difference between tiny details that others might misunderstand. They know when a 4 might actually be a 3, and when a 3 should really be a 4. This difference can be the difference between a Gleason 6 and a Gleason 8. Between watching and waiting and needing urgent surgery. Doctor, who will read my biopsy? Almost no one asks this question, but it should be the first one. If you don't trust your urologist's pathologist, ask for the slides. They are yours. No one can deny them to you, and take them to a uropathologist you trust. A second pair of specialized eyes can completely change your diagnosis, and with it, all the decisions that come after. Narrator. But some urologists, the ones who go an extra mile, suggest something most people don't even know exists. Urologist. I recommend a PET PSMA for you. It's nuclear medicine. It finds tumor activity with a precision that an MRI can't match. Patient. Surprised. And this exists. Narrator. It exists. It's not in every center. Not everyone offers it. But it completely changes how good the information is. It's the third map, the most accurate one. It's like turning on the light in the whole house. If the tumor sent cells to the lymph nodes or to the bone, this test lights them up. I had it done, and I'm thankful I did.
Urologist. I have the results of your biopsy. It's a Gleason 6. Patient. Fearful. Is that bad? Urologist. Reassuring. It is cancer, but in theory, it grows very slowly. In your case, I would recommend active surveillance. Patient. Confused. Active surveillance. What would that be like, doctor?
Active surveillance doesn't mean doing nothing. It's a structured plan. PSA tests every 3 or 6 months, an MRI scan every year, a confirmation biopsy after 1 year, and then a biopsy every 2 or 3 years, depending on how things are going. The goal, to make sure the tumor doesn't change, that it doesn't get worse, that it doesn't grow more than expected. It sounds reasonable. It sounds under control. And here's a fact they rarely tell you clearly. About 70% of men under well-managed active surveillance with Gleason 6 never end up needing radical treatment. They pass away at 80 from something else. With their grandkids, with their sex life still intact. Well-managed surveillance isn't neglect. It's a strategy. But on the way home, you realize something no one clearly told you. You will live the rest of your life knowing you have cancer inside you. You won't have surgery. You won't have radiation. You will just watch. And every blood test, every MRI, every biopsy will be a reminder that it's there, waiting or moving forward. This is what no one explains to you about active surveillance. The psychological weight of living with an enemy you've decided not to attack. Although more and more experts are debating whether we should continue to call such an indolent Gleason 6 a cancer. Because for many men, that name already causes more harm than the tumor itself.
I should mention something important. Even though the cancer grows slowly and seems contained, no cancer is 100% contained from a biological point of view. There's always a chance it could escape. Through the neurovascular bundles, the erection nerves, through the lymph nodes, or through the seminal vesicles. Neurovascular bundles, lymph nodes, seminal vesicles.
The neurovascular bundles, the erection nerves, the lymph nodes, the seminal vesicles. Words that until today weren't part of your vocabulary, and now they will live with you forever. With that, he finished destroying me. Months went by. I followed the plan, got my blood tests and MRI scans. I truly believed everything was under control. And then one day, this is where my story completely changed.
I have the results of your new biopsy. It's a Gleason 7, 3 + 4.
Gleason 7?
Gleason 7. This is no longer the calm cancer of 6. The Gleason system measures how disorganized the tumor cells have become. 6 was bad, but predictable. 7, 3 + 4 means the main pattern is moderate, but the secondary one is already starting to be a concern.
You could keep doing active surveillance, but the chance of it getting worse is higher. You could think about focused treatments, or you could choose a full treatment. surgery, or radiation.
And here's a tool that few urologists offer you, but it does exist. Genomic tests of the tumor itself. Decipher, Polaris, Oncotype DX. They look at the genes in the cancer cells from your biopsy and tell you if your Gleason 7 is one of those that sleeps or one of those that wakes up. Two men with the same number can have completely different outcomes. They are not covered by all health insurance plans, but if you can afford them, they can change your decision between watching and acting. Focal therapies. What are those? If the tumor is in one spot, there are focal therapies. They're like sharpshooters. They attack the tumor and leave the rest of the prostate alone. First, HIFU. Imagine a magnifying glass under the sun, focusing all its energy on one spot. Here, we do something similar, but instead of light, we use ultrasound. Extreme heat. Super precise. The tumor is destroyed from the inside without cutting the skin. No cuts, no scalpel. The procedure takes between 1 and 3 hours. Most people go home the same day. Second, cryotherapy. The opposite of heat. Extreme cold. Thin needles create a real ice ball inside the prostate. This cold freezes and destroys the bad cells. It's done with tiny cuts, but it can hurt the nerves and blood vessels depending on where the tumor is. Third, irreversible electroporation, also known as nanoknife. This uses high-intensity electric pulses that poke holes in the tumor cell's outer layers until they can't work anymore. The big plus here is that it's much better at saving nerves and other delicate parts. It's perfect for tumors that are really close to important areas. But it's pretty hard to find this treatment. They seem perfect. They only treat what's sick. They save what's healthy. But there's a catch that isn't always mentioned. If the cancer is in many spots in the prostate, focal therapy doesn't get all of them. And what isn't treated keeps growing. That's why picking the right patient is super important. Not everyone can get this treatment. So where are these treatments done? It's not just any hospital. You need to specifically ask for university cancer centers and top hospitals that have an active focal therapy program in your country. And the key question that almost no one asks isn't, "What do you suggest for me, doctor?" The key question is, what options are there and at which centers? If your urologist doesn't mention them, you should ask. If they don't know the answer, get a second opinion.
I have the results of your last biopsy. I'm sorry to tell you, it's a Gleason 7, 4 plus 3. Wait, a few months ago it was Gleason 7, 3 plus 4. Now it's 4 plus 3. Isn't it the same thing?
No, it's not the same thing. In 3 plus 4, the main pattern is moderate. In 4 plus 3, the main pattern is already aggressive. The same number, a different cancer.
Active surveillance is no longer recommended. Focal therapies are less likely to provide long-term control in your case. The options with the most evidence are two: robotic radical prostatectomy or radiotherapy with hormone therapy.
And this is where it stops being just about curing cancer. It's about deciding what kind of life you're willing to live afterward. Two paths, two different worlds, two different kinds of after effects, and neither one means going back to how things were. I left that appointment with something I hadn't felt until then. It wasn't fear, it was a brutal clarity. A decision had to be made. And now comes the part nobody wants to hear, but everyone should know.
Urologist, I'm sorry to tell you. The biopsy came back as Gleason 8, 4 plus 4. Narrator, Gleason 8. No more moderate pattern. Both parts are aggressive. The cells are so messed up that the tumor barely looks like normal prostate tissue anymore. And the urologist this time doesn't have many choices to offer. Urologist, your choices aren't just getting fewer. You have to do something in the next 8 weeks. There's a real risk of it getting worse quickly. No time to wait and see.
Patient. 8 weeks?
8 weeks. 2 months to decide what to do with your body, what to do with your life. Some men at this point act. They look for the best surgeon, they get operated on. Others wait a little longer to see if it goes down. I'll go after vacation. I don't feel so bad. And that's when the story changes categories.
I'm sorry to tell you. The biopsy showed a Gleason 9, 5 plus 4. And the PET PSMA confirmed metastasis in your spine. At this point, unfortunately, we can no longer operate on the prostate.
What you're about to hear isn't meant to scare you. It's the truth of what happens when the calendar tells you what to do more than you tell it. Gleason 9. The tumor is almost unrecognizable as prostate tissue. Cells are completely disorganized, uncontrolled multiplication, and metastasis. The cancer has left the prostate, traveled through the lymph nodes or bloodstream, and found its way to the spine. This means the treatment is no longer about a cure. It's about control. Hormone therapy to suppress testosterone, which feeds the tumor. Chemotherapy if the disease gets worse. Palliative radiation therapy on the metastases to reduce pain. And in some cases, PSMA-177, a nuclear medicine treatment that works like a guided missile. It specifically attaches to prostate cancer cells and zaps them from the inside. It's available in advanced nuclear medicine centers in many countries. It costs a lot, but more and more insurance is covering it for metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer. But curing is no longer an option. And here I want you to stop for a second. Everything you just heard, Gleason 6, 7, 8, 9, it's not science fiction. It's not the worst-case scenario you can imagine. It's the natural path of a cancer that isn't stopped in time. A cancer that started out as watchable, then became treatable, then became urgent, and finally became incurable. All because you didn't go to the urologist. Because you didn't get the blood test. Because you waited. And now that you have the diagnosis, the next question comes up. The one nobody prepares you for. Do I stick with my urologist? Do I look for a urological surgeon? Or do I go to an oncological urologist? Your trusted urologist knows you, has followed you, has diagnosed you. But not all urologists operate. Not all have the surgical volume that a complex case requires. The urological surgeon operates, knows robotic techniques, knows how to preserve nerves. But their view is fundamentally surgical. If you go to the appointment with a Gleason 8, you'll probably leave with a surgery date, because that's what they know how to do, and they do it well. But that can't be the only voice you hear. The urologic oncologist brings everything together: surgery, radiation therapy, and medical oncology. They see the whole picture. They don't have a bias towards one specialty, or at least they shouldn't. The truth is this: with a Gleason score of 7, 4+3, or higher, you need more than one opinion, from different specialties. Not because your doctor is wrong, but because the decision is too big to rely on just one person's view. A urologic oncologist, a surgeon who does a lot of robotic surgeries, a radiation oncologist. All three, if you can, should be involved at the same time. Let them argue their points. Then you can decide with real information. When you go to the surgeon, he recommends surgery. Not because he's dishonest, but because that's what he's good at. That's where he has experience. But when I thought I had everything clear, the oncologist told me something that changed everything again. With radiation therapy and hormone therapy, you'll have side effects you need to know about. Intense tiredness during treatment, peeing problems, needing to go urgently, burning, going often, bowel problems, diarrhea, bleeding from your bottom. Hormone therapy stops testosterone. You'll lose interest in sex, have trouble getting an erection, get hot flashes, gain weight, and lose muscle and bone. And the treatment lasts months, sometimes years. With radiation therapy, we'll never get to fully check the prostate. We won't know if the edges were clear, if the lymph nodes were affected, or if the tumor was really contained. And there's another super important thing. If radiation therapy doesn't work and you need surgery, then that surgery becomes a lot harder. The tissue that got radiation is tough and stuck together. The normal surgery layers disappear, and the chance of problems goes way up. It's a kind of surgery that only a few places can do well. And robotic surgery? With robotic prostate surgery, we get all the info after the operation. We get a full report on the prostate tissue. We know the real state of the lymph nodes. We check the edges. A positive margin means that when they took out the prostate, some cancer cells were left at the edge of where they cut. This is the main sign that the cancer might come back. Positive margins are less than 10%. For peeing problems, 90% get better in the first year. For sexual function, 90% keep it if the nerves were saved and the tumor allowed it. 90%. 90%. Margins less than 10%. Sounds good, sounds really good. But in your head, you can't stop thinking about the other 10%. What if it's me? That question led me to another appointment, to the oncologist.